Well, I've always loved movies. They're they're emotional, but not as much as music, in a much more rational, analytical, sort of literal way, which is good for me because I am at the end of the day a literal person. I think the first movie I ever loved was Welcome to the Dollhouse by Todd Solondz. Strange movie, weird girl, not anything intended for the 12-year-old that I was. But in a way it was, and it really it was an awakening experience. I knew what a good movie was. It was in front of me. And even if it wasn't, I knew what kind of elements could be part of a good film. So it was definitely very important for me. But it wasn't until I understood Citizen Kane that I really knew what a movie is, what a monument, what it does for itself, for the people who make it, and what it can really do for you. There's stars in life, and that's what he was. He was a star. Like, Orson Welles was just it. He had it. He always did. But he spent the rest of his life falling. And something about the film was incredibly prophetic beyond anything that William Randolph Hearst characterization could have called for. Because even as William Randolph Hearst did have some trouble towards the end of his life, they were not rooted in his biggest flaws. Where with both Charles Foster Kane and Orson Welles, that was the case. With Orson Welles, there was an issue of professional hubris and a strong rebellious reluctance to adhere to the diplomatic and political norms of Hollywood. So he was ousted. I mean, he couldn't do anything. Poor thing. He couldn't get a studio, he couldn't get a distributor. Bad. I mean, towards the end of his life, he was like, okay, we love you, we understand, you're an institution, but nothing was ever the same. But the movie itself, it's just, it's heartbreakingly well written and honest. And this is an honesty that it's not emerging from the character. So in a very consistent way, you get this man who, as Leland says, never gave himself away. But you get all of him. You really do. And there's something beautiful and powerful about that paradox. And maybe he didn't know himself that well, but we do. And there's just something terribly satisfying and, I don't know, monumental about knowing something that well and knowing how shitty his life got and how there was nothing he could do but change. But he loved himself. What do you do? Why would you change if you love yourself? You wouldn't.